Okay, so we're going to be studying today about Olam Haba. Olam Haba. We've been studying the Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin and Jeff, how are you? And part of the Gemara that we've been studying, it's telling us about Techiyat HaMetim and some other topics. And we said, Kol Yisrael Yashem Chelek LeOlam Haba. Everybody has a portion of the world to come, right? Every Jew has a portion in the world to come. And the idea was that I wanted to take a start from the Gemara and read to you what Rambam says about Olam Haba, so that you can get a sense of where we are, because it's all related. Techiyat HaMetim here, I can give this to Joe. It's all related, right? It's all the idea of an eternal soul. So if you have an eternal soul, then you have Olam Haba. If you have an eternal soul, then you can have Techiyat HaMetim. There's a Gemara that speaks about Eov. And one of the points of Eov at the beginning, when he was very upset, why did God make him suffer so much? And he became very nihilistic, and he said that there's no reward for the Tzaddikim, there's no punishment for the Reshaim, and at some points he says there's no Olam Haba. Right? So the Gemara in Masechet Bava Batla Daf Tet Zayin, it says that Yov kafar b'tchiyat hametim. Yov denied tchiyat hametim, meaning he denied that there's an eternal soul, right? And then the Gemara criticizes him for it. It says, Afra befumeh de Yov. God, the mouth of Yov should be filled with soil. I mean, it's a curse. He should be buried alive for what he said, right? Later on, Yov made teshuvah. At the end of the book, he makes teshuvah. So of course, we understand that he was suffering, and also the Gemara says, or Rambam says that we don't hold a person to what he says at a time of agony. So because Eov was in a time of agony, we're not going to hold him to what he said. And later on he made teshuvah. So is there any napkins anywhere? Let's see, there are. Right here, I got it. Right, so the point is that, let me just turn on the airplane mode so we don't get interrupted by calls. Okay, so basically, that's why it's important not just to study the Gemara, which we've been doing and we'll continue next week, but I want to now get into Techiyat HaMetim a little more deeply so you understand what it is, because it's related to everything we've been doing. So let's read. Hilchot Teshuvah, this is from Rambam. Hilchot Teshuvah Perek Chet. Rambam summarizes everything for us. And maybe I should say the following before we even start. In the thinking of Rambam, which is based upon the Talmud, I have an allergy, I'm sorry, this is bothering me. I can go to my room and see if they got me some water. I think they were supposed to give me some Evian. Thank you. I just have these allergies. They come out around springtime. And then they come out again in summer. And then in fall. And then in winter. I think that's what they call it, seasonal allergies, as long as there's a season and there's allergies that come along with it. Anyway, and they come at very inconvenient times as well, I have to say. Usually when I'm about to be chazam, I'm about to give a class. Okay. It's for you and Knis Friday night. Yeah. So I'm about to say Kaddish, and I got it. So fortunately Shlomo helped me out with the Hashem Malach, and I kind of was able to get back to myself. So we're talking about Olam Haba and how the Gemara criticizes Eov, and we don't want to hold Eov accountable because he was in a time of agony, so he said what he said. But we're going to study what Rambam says about Olam Haba, and I'll put it up front. What I wanted to say is that in the mental rubric that Rambam presents to us, there is no place for what's known as Gilgul Neshamot. So I have to put it out there that you don't become confused. There are some people who believe in Gilgulim, and for them that's a big part of their thinking about Tzaddikim and the Reshaim. Rambam completely doesn't have it. It doesn't exist. By the way, the idea of Gilgul doesn't exist in the Gemara either. You can check the whole Gemara from Masechet Berachot in the beginning till Masechet Niddah at the end. There is no Gilgul. There's no water. You see, so that's okay. It's fine. It doesn't exist in any of the early rabbinic sources. There's no Gilgulim. Gilgul is more a later addition, that came later on. So So Hanabam doesn't have Gilgulim, the Geonim don't have Geonim, the early Chachamim didn't have Gilgulim, and I follow Hanabam on this point. I don't see any benefit to the idea that, I don't know, you're going to be born as a frog and,
don't people live their lives literally based off of believing in that in a way?
I know, it's a problem because I think fundamentally people should educate themselves. And okay, in my humble opinion, I'm giving you my understanding. Gilgul is a very convenient thing to believe in. Why is it convenient? Let's talk about Gilgul. You want to talk about Gilgul a little? It's a nice topic? Okay. So why is Gilgul a very so Gilgul means transmutation of the soul. So you, Jeffrey, now you're this, but in the next life you'll be, I don't know what you'll be, okay? A frog, okay? You're going to be punished, you're going to be a frog, and then you'll come back as a stone. Whatever. It's a little, I don't mean to be disrespectful, and it's not nice that I'm being disrespectful or mocking, but I just find the theory to be a little intellectually unappealing.
I took it offensive.
You took it offensively? Okay, a prince, and you'll be a prince. So the point is that the idea of Gilgul is very convenient. People love it. Why do people love Gilgul? Because people don't want to have personal responsibility. Gilgul is a very easy way to say, okay, I'm suffering. Why am I suffering? Oh, I can't explain it. I didn't do anything wrong. Oh, so you're suffering because in a previous life you once killed, you were the one who killed David Melech Israel, and now they're going to bring you back. Nobody killed him. I'm making that up, obviously. You killed this person, and now they're going to bring you back to this world. Now you'll be killed and you'll suffer. So again, it becomes very easy way, just avoid responsibility. There's nothing I can do, woe is me, and let's all sing together, right? Some nice, sad, mournful melody, right? That type of epistemology is basically escape from responsibility. The Torah says that if you're suffering, you should actually introspect. The Gemara says so. The Gemara says introspect. What are you doing wrong? There's a reason for your suffering. Now maybe you'll find the reason, maybe you won't. And then the Gemara makes a suggestion. Even if you don't find the reasoning, just study Torah. Studying Torah, it heals the soul, it heals a person, and just accept the fact. What do we learn from the book of Iyov? We learn from the book of Iyov that if a person is suffering and he doesn't understand it, just have a little humility in the presence of God. Try to make yourself a better person. Gilgul says, no, you're suffering because before, when you were a person, I don't know, you did this, you did that, right? All right, I mean, again, for some people it's appealing. But it's not. It's fundamentally anti-Gemara. It's fundamentally anti-Tanakh. It's fundamentally anti-Torah. In my understanding of things, that's what I'm putting before you. You could all beg to differ. Now, there is what's called Shara Gilgulim of the Ari. He writes a book called Shara Gilgulim. I think I understand what the book is about. And he uses the word Gilgul, but the problem in studying Kabbalah is that Kabbalah is only supposed to be studied by people who are qualified to study Kabbalah. And what happens is people open Shara Gilgulim, Gilgul. In his idea of Gilgul, in the Ari's idea of Gilgul, I do agree with him, and this is the way I understand his book. This is, again, my understanding of the book is that there are certain connections between neshamot that I do believe in. Meaning, I believe that somehow a person, maybe my name is Abraham, maybe I have a connection with Abraham Avinu, I don't know, but there's some connection. Not that I'm a Gilgul, I'm not a Gilgul of Abraham Avinu, obviously. I didn't mean to say that, and I didn't even mean to intimate it. Rather, there's a certain connection, there's certain things within me that are similar to that, let's say. Or maybe there's a person who's like Yosef HaSadiq, he had similar experiences to Yosef HaSadiq, and similar challenges, and similar attitudes. Not to say that that the two individuals don't exist, right? There is an individual, Yosef HaSadiq, he's one person, he's an Olam Haba, he still exists, he has his identity, and then there's another person who has certain character traits that are similar. That's the extent of it, and that's what I think the Ari meant in Shara Gilgulim. But again, Kabbalah is written in a code-like way, and you can't just read the code and say, oh, this is what it means. You need to understand how to decode the code. Okay, so that's Gilgulim, we got that out of the way. Questions, comments, right? All right, so let's now study Harambam. Hatovah Sekona L'Sadikim. What is the ultimate reward for the pious? Now, I use the word pious in English, but really the word tzaddik in Hebrew doesn't mean pious, because in English the word pious means It's like you're a saintly type figure, you're pious. In Hebrew, Sadiq means a person who's generally good. I want to say that. Meaning, you don't have to be a pious saint to be considered in Hebrew a Sadiq. There is a Sadiq Gamur. That's something else. We didn't say Sadiq Gamur. It's enough to be Sadiq. If you're a Sadiq, meaning you're a generally good person, you shomer Shabbat, you eat kosher, that general thing, you got Olam Haba. Kol Yisrael Hashem Chayil Olam Haba, right? We're at the end of the Mishnah. Olam Haba. You will get a portion in the world to come. And what's unique about Olam Haba, unlike this world where we have a biological life, and a biological life by its nature is limited, meaning it depends, for example, I need water, I need air, my heart has to keep beating. If a person has, his organs begin to fail as he gets older and he becomes, eventually, that's it, the biological life ends. The life in Olam Haba is not a biological life, and therefore it is an eternal life. That's number one. There is no death there. And furthermore, it is a good which has no bad. What does it mean? It's a good which has no bad.
It's
Go ahead.
I'm saying no Yetzirah.
No Yetzirah. You're right. By the way, first of all, there's no Yetzirah there, correct? But there's something even more significant, and it's as follows. Always in this world, I have to make choices. So, for example, my mom needs me to help her with this and this and this and this. Now I'm studying Torah, so I have to make a choice. I'll do Kibud Av Va'em, and I have to do Kibud Av Va'em. But if I do Kibud Av Va'em, I won't be able to study, right? So there's going to be a certain give and take. Or another example, I want to make money. To make money, I need to be in the office. I need to work. I won't be able to be with my children. Won't be able to be with my family. It's a give and take. So there's always going to be a balance in this world where you need to balance your actions against the consequences of those actions, right? And it's never perfect. In the world to come, the way the world to come is designed, there is no balancing act. It's pure good. Whatever you do there, whatever you experience there, you don't have all those conflicts. You have these contradictions here. It doesn't exist there. Hu shekatuv b'Torah. This is what the pasuk says in the Torah, describing Olam Haba. Let me get the Chumash. Okay, maybe I can find it. Did I take a look? Okay, Perek Kaf Bet Pasuk Zayin. Perek Kaf Bet Pasuk Zayin. I just want to give you the context so you understand. This is talking about the mitzvah of Shiluach HaKen, right? So you have the mitzvah of Shiluach HaKen when a person wants to have the eggs of a bird, or he wants to have the hatchlings, right? So you have to do Shiluach HaKen. First you take away, you get rid of the mommy bird, and only then you can take the eggs for yourself, right? So it gives you here an inkling into what Olam Haba is. It says, Leman Yitavlach. Follow this mitzvah, even the small mitzvah. Meaning, even the smallest mitzvah even though it's a small mitzvah, you'd say, why does it matter? Every mitzvah matters, even this one matters. And Leman Yitavlach, you can get Olam Haba for this mitzvah. So it says, Leman Yitavlach, Le'olam shekulo tov. It's referring to a world which only has good, a world which has no bad. So, Joe, you said no Yetzirah there, correct? And part of there being no Yetzirah means also you don't have all these conflicts that we have in this world. So this world is filled with conflicted decisions, right? So the worst thing is when a person wants to find the perfect solution. People come to me, Rabbi, I have a problem, this and this and this, but then that and that and that. And I often tell people, life is not perfect, right? This world is not perfect, so there's no perfect solution. So what are you going to do? A person's married to a girl, she's making him miserable. He divorced her, but then I'm going to be divorced. Oh, but life is not perfect. So you want to be miserable or you want to be divorced? Take your choice. So the Torah says, give her a get. It's a mitzvah aseh to give a get to a woman. That's it. Why would there be Misvat Aseh like that? Because Hashem is saying life is not perfect, and even though it's going to be terrible, but okay, better that than this. Right? So you see, there's no perfect state. Olam haba is leman yitav lach. It's real good. There is no conflict. V'ha'arachta yamim, so le'olam shekulo tov, right? V'ha'arachta yamim, what does it mean? And you should have a long days. Le'olam shekulo aroch. It's going to be an extended eternal existence. You know, in this world, like it's the nature of our existence is we wake up in the morning, so we have the daytime, we go to sleep at night. We wake up in the morning, go to sleep at night. And there's that break, and because of that break, there's kind of like, there's no continuity, or there's very little continuity. So, like, which is to say that if you're trying to experience life as a continual spectrum, you don't really have it so much in this world because you have that break. Here it says, Ve'arachta yamim. You notice it says yamim? There's no leilot in olam haba. There's no night. It's an extended day. There is no interruption, right? So suddenly you have an interruption. No. Le'olam shekul aloch. So that's a beautiful feeling. You feel like you just keep going more and more and more, right? Imagine like you're having a beautiful day and the day never ends. That's olam haba, right? Just an extended, right?
So the moon won't exist in Olam Haba?
The what?
The moon.
The moon?
Meaning if we're going to have extended days, no nights, then is there no presence of a moon in Olam Haba?
So the existence in olam haba is above the physical. So here you have like a physical state, and Adamam is going to talk about it now. So let's see what Adamam says, right? So Adamam is going to talk about the fact that there is no physical, the physical state in olam haba is minimized, right? The dimension there of existence is above that, right? So look at Al-Chabet, Sechar HaSadikim. So we'll deal more with that later on, Joe. Sechar HaSadikim u'sheiz kulei no'am zeh. So the ultimate reward for the Sadiqim. Again, what is the Sadiq? Who remembers? A person who's basically good. Like, you don't have to be pious or saintly. You get this no'am. Now, what does the word no'am mean? What does the word no'am? Hushizku le'no'am zeh. What does that mean, no'am? Do we use it in the tefillah? Does it sound familiar?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, right?
Comfort.
Right? No'am means something pleasing, beautiful. Where do we use it in the tefillah? Saturday night we say, right? The no'am of God should be upon us. Meaning, when you perform the mitzvot and you study Torah, you feel a certain pleasure in your life, a certain ne'imut, something pleasing, something soothing. So what does it mean, no'am? What's the difference between no'am and just any other pleasure, any other enjoyment? So, my father told me, alav shalom, that if you have the Arabic word for music is nagem, nun, gimel, mem, because the ayin and the gimel, they transpose. So no'am is a type of pleasure that acts upon the musical part of the brain. So imagine you hear a beautiful song, very meaningful melody. So everybody likes a particular type of music, whatever the type of music you like. So my wife likes classical music for some reason, which I don't understand. Because when I get into the car in the morning and I press the start, and then there's like a 10-second interval where the radio turns on the previous station.
You can't do it.
But you can't do anything about it. So it's like I have to hear the classical music and I don't know what to do. It's like, it's just there, right? It's because, you have like the screen turning on and this. Okay. She likes it. I don't like it. I like other types of music. Okay. But when I hear music and I love it and I get deeply into the melody, like when you get, when you get really, like when you just, no interruptions and you just hear something beautiful, right? So it's a special type of feeling.
It's like your spirits.
Right, exactly. And it's like, it's not something that you can get from eating food or from smelling beautiful perfume or even seeing something beautiful. Those are all nice things. There's different types of areas in the brain. But the music and the uplifting of the spirit, it touches a certain part of the brain, right? That's the no'am of the world to come, is similar to just like, it's just a beautiful song and you're living in that song and there's no nighttime, so it just goes on, like your life is just going on and on and on without interruption. That's the noam, right? So when the reward for having performed the mitzvot is that you got this noam, right? You're going to be in this amazing state of existence, right? What's a punishment for the Reshaim? So in Christianity, you have purgatory, you have hell, you have the Satan or Lucifer or Mephistopheles, whatever they call him.
Beelzebub.
What?
Beelzebub.
That's what okay, I didn't hear that one. Interesting. So he wants to torture the people, and he's like, you have, I think, was it a Tom and Jerry where he goes to hell, and where he dreams about hell, and the devil is there, like hitting him with a pitchfork or something. Okay. That's Christianity, that's not Judaism. You know what hell is in Judaism? Okay, we don't have the word hell. What's Pira'on HaReshaim? Read it. They don't get this. God is not interested in torturing people. What does he care? Right? They don't get it. That's all. They get cut off. What does it mean they get cut off? So there's karet. You know what karet is? So some mitzvot in the Torah, if a person violates that mitzvah, he gets karet. Or an example, if a person didn't get berit milah all his life, so that would be karet. If a person bar minan eats on Yom Kippur, kekotevet hakasa, karet, or a woman hanes on Pesach, or a woman that's forbidden from, like a married woman, chas v'shalom. So the idea of karet, what does karet mean? So we say Kol Yisrael, Yashem Panikul, we're all part of the Jewish nation. So as part of the Jewish nation, we have a certain privilege in the eyes of God. You know what karet is? You're cut off. You're not there anymore. Kol Yisrael, Yashem Panikul, you're cut off. You're not going to go to Olam Haba. You see what karet is? Ve'yamutu. So what happens to the person who doesn't go to Olam Haba? He dies. That's it. Brother, this is like very heavy, meaning responsibility. In the thinking of the modern Gilgul philosophy, let's call it, they say, no, you're going to come back as whatever, as this. You come back as that person. You come back as another person. You'll come back as a white, as a Chinese, as a black, as a something else, right? That's escape from responsibility. In the Talmudic thinking, you have one chance. God gave you life. Make something of yourself, right? Otherwise, bar minan. And if a person doesn't get Olam Haba, hu amet she'eno chai le'olam. It means, all it means is that he's going to die, and he's not going to have an eternal life. Meaning, we have an eternal life. Our souls are eternal. Because of his wickedness, he's going to be cut, his neshama is going to be cut, and he's going to die like an animal. Meaning, die like an animal, not in the sense that, oh, you animal, but die like an animal, the same way an animal when it dies. Does anybody here own a dog? So, I just, what? Used to? He died?
Yep.
Right, so there's no Olam Haba for dogs, right? You know that, right? Sorry, I'm not saying that to be mean, I'm just saying, right? There's no Olam Haba for dogs. So when a dog dies, he dies, right? So a person has a pet, he loves the pet loves him. Apparently dogs have certain talent, they have certain intelligence, emotional intelligence, and they help people, but they don't have Olam Haba. So that's the idea. So the person is, because we were created in the image of God, so the image of God is not a visual image, but it's the image of God. A dimension of that image is the same way God is eternal, our souls are eternal. So when you cut yourself off and you act like an animal, then you end up dying like an animal. So that's the idea of Obed Kabehema. You understand? And this is what the Torah says when it refers to karet. I just want to read the pasuk in the Torah in Bamidbar, Perek Tetvav. We'll read it now in place. Perek Tetvav, pasuk Lamed Aleph. Tikaret, הנפש ההיא עוונה בה. פרק ט"ו פסוק למד א'. Okay, here we go. So, let me give you the, so it's talking about the nefesh אשר תעשה ביד רמה. Right. One second. Okay, so this is פרשה שלח לך. ואמן הללה. ועשבי נפש אחת תחדה ושלח לכלל אז. Right, okay, then שתעשה ביד רמה. Okay, so it's referring to a person who does an avon which has karet, right? Not every avon has karet, but he says, but if you do an avon which has karet, it says, it's your nefesh now that you're jeopardizing, right? And you do it intentionally, because if you do an avon that has karet accidentally, or rather without knowledge, it doesn't, no. If a person accidentally eats chametz on Pesach, he didn't know it was chametz, he ate it, that doesn't count, right? One of the great stories, like, you go to Israel, you're very kind of like naive, and you think, oh, it's Israel. It's like, so I remember when we first moved to Israel, I don't know if you remember this, Ike, Shlomo, you definitely don't, because you were way too young, but so we did Bedikat Chametz in the house, and the house was clean for Pesach, so the night of Bedikat Chametz, my wife goes to the supermarket, and she buys all the kosher Pesach stuff, so like everything is clean, and now we're going to fill it up with kosher Pesach stuff. And they have this thing in the supermarket, sometimes they give you like, after you do your cash register, they'll give you like a prize, or you did $500 worth of shopping, so they gave her like a cake. Okay, so great, we have like a cake for Pesach, so she comes home, and then Pesach in the morning, I want to have a piece of cake with my coffee, whatever, and so I think it was my daughter Marae, she says something along the effects, I don't think this cake doesn't have kosher for Pesach on it. And I'm like, kind of like, come on, she's a little girl. She was a little girl, she's like 3-4 years old, maybe, whatever. It doesn't have kosher for Pesach on it, Daddy. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, here, let me show you. Like I said, I'll show you, so she knows for the future how to identify the kosher for Pesach. So I'm looking at the ingredients. I'm looking at it, first I don't see kosher for Pesach. I'm like, okay, no, but it's probably, everything's kosher for Pesach. I don't know what. But then I look at the ingredients. It was like wheat flour, water. Like it was chametz. It was literal chametz. Thank God we didn't eat it. Thank God. Baruch Hashem. But had we eaten it, it would have been b'shogeg, right? So we had to cover it with utensil, and then after Yom Tov we burnt it, right? Because you don't burn it on Yom Tov. But so it was like very funny. So like they give you you finish doing Bedikat Chametz. Here's a prize for you. Here's a cake that we have to throw it away anyway. Right? Are you kidding me? Like, what is wrong with you people? Anyway.
Can't you just throw it out? What do you?
No, because I wanted to burn it. I was like, I was enraged. So I really wanted to burn this, burn the chametz. I go, let's do the mitzvah. You know what I'm saying? So we burnt it. It was. Do you remember this kind of, or is it before you were? Yeah, maybe. I think it was when Marae was young, so probably before your days. Anyway. Okay, so we didn't eat it, but had we eaten it, it would have been. But here it says, "Ki devar Adonai baza." This person has no respect for the word of God, and he expresses his disrespect by violating the mitzvot of God. Hikaret tikaret hanefesh hayavon haba. That's the pasuk we saw. Hikaret tikaret. It's going to be completely cut off. So what does it mean? Hikaret tikaret. It's double. Hikaret ba'olam hazeh. Already in this world, he's going to be cut off from the Jewish people. Because as a Jew, you have a special ashkacha peratit. God takes special care of you. Tikaret hayolam haba. That's for the world to come. In the next world. כלומר, שאותה הנפש שפרשה מן הגוף בעולם הזה, אינה זוכה לחיי העולם הבא, אלא גם מן העולם הבא נחלטה. So this nefesh, interesting. Look what he says. It's so strange. This sentence is really strange. I don't even know if I understand what it means. I'm just going to explain it to you, or translate it rather. כלומר, שאותה הנפש, this nefesh, because it says, "Hikaret ba'olam hazeh," in this world it's cut off. So he says, "Hanefesh sheparsha min haguf ba'olam hazeh." This nefesh already left the body in this world. No, I understand what he's saying. No, he's saying, when the person dies, and the person's nefesh leaves his body, at that point, it doesn't go to olam haba, it's alive, but it gets killed. Instead, it's going to be killed. It's going to be cut off. That's it. It's going to be over for that particular individual. There is going to be no further existence for that individual. All right. So that's the idea of Gehinnom. So the idea of Gehinnom is that the only exception that I'm aware of, and we discussed this previously, is that like in the case of the political enemies of Israel, like the Hamas terrorists and all these other the Nazis and so on, they're in the days of Techat Amitim, they're going to come back, and the reason they're going to come back is so that we can punish them appropriately. So I'll just read to you the pasuk. That's the only case, right? That there's something. It's not a Christian hell, because Christian is something with the devil. Here we're gonna punish him in this world somehow.
This world.
Yeah, I'll show you how it is. Let me read to you. It's at the end of Yeshaya. Let me see. Yeshaya. All right. Okay. All right. Getting close to the end. All right, here it is. Right, it says that every Rosh Chodesh, Shabbat b'Shabbato, every Shabbat, Yavo Chol Basar Yishtachol Lefanayim Al Adonai. All the nations of the world will come to the Beit HaMikdash to pay homage to God, to pray to God, literally. But then there's going to be others when they're there, when the Goyim are there. There's going to be those wicked people that Harambam explains that are going to come back into Techat Amitim, right? And these people, they're going to be punished. Kitolatam lo tamut. There's going to be like a worms, maggots in their bodies. The isham lo tichben. There's going to be a fire burning on their bodies. Eternal, meaning like eternal maggots and eternal fire. And this is going to be a disgrace in the eyes of humanity. That we say, how could humanity have tolerated these lowlives? Right? It's embarrassing. Like as human beings, where was the dignity of the human race? So like, and really, like you think about, let's say, October 7th, and you can say, really, where was the dignity of the human race? I mean, how can humanity have not joined Israel and said we have to get rid of this cancer from our midst? Now it's already the other way around, where like we have like, you know, the Hamas wing of the Democrat Party. Like that's unbelievable. That's really crazy. I mean, that's like it blows the mind that, you know, that the Democrat Party is trying to placate actual Nazis, right? Think of that for a second. Meaning, I never get involved in politics. I don't really care. You know, my parents, Democrat, Republican, Independent, I don't care. It's like I have other things that, you know, how was it Quebec? Was it Quebec good? Happy. Good Quebec, good fina, delicious, okay. These things bother me. Oh, the Quebec got burned, damn, okay, no good, all right, you understand? But whatever, but the point is, but I have to say it. I mean, the Democrat Party, to stay in power, at least I think they're going to stay in power, they're going and expressing support for the ideas of the Hamas wing of the Democrat. I think they literally lost their mind, right? That's what I think. Again, I have no other explanation. I mean, and I understand that people want to be in power, politicians want to be in power, but this is just, it's unforgivable. So it's going to be embarrassing. So it's saying that did on the Chol Basar, it's going to be a stain on humanity. How could they have tolerated these people, these creatures, these Hamas, Nazis, whoever they are? I mean, every generation has its low lives, right? So that's what's going to happen. So in that case, it is going to be kind of a purgatory for those people, meaning those people will be in an eternal fire. They'll be brought back to this world so they can suffer for what they did. How can you punish Hitler by just killing Hitler? You can't punish him by killing him. It doesn't make sense. So he died in a fire. I mean, he killed 6 million people, right? So he died in a fire. Let him die 6 million deaths, and then maybe we can say that, you know, he got what's coming to him. But if he didn't die 6 million deaths, he didn't get what's coming to him. Right? So these Hamas terrorists, that they did what they did, even if they end up getting killed, you know, executed by Israel, whatever, that's nothing. There should be, you know, it should be done to them what they did, you know, and more. Anyway, all right. So that's our notion. We don't have purgatory, we don't have hell, but when people are really cruel, sadistic people, they're going to be brought back to life in this world. and they're going to suffer the consequences of what they did.
What if it's a Jewish person that's terrible?
So, I mean, our worst person never came even close to this. You know, like we never had anything like this. You know, where what they do in the name of religion. You know, when they came in October 7th, they kiss the ground, Allahu Akbar, whatever, this and that, and then they go do just things that are beyond that. I don't even like talking about it anymore because it's embarrassing to just utter the words from my mouth. So where did we have anything like that? I mean, tell me, maybe I'm missing something.
How severe do they need to be in order to come back and be punished?
Hashem will decide, but I'm thinking like those people who committed the pogroms, those people who killed Jews in the Inquisition, stuff like that. That's a sense I'm getting, where death just
What
doesn't.
about modern local governments?
What do you mean by modern local government?
That was what you just said earlier about the.
I know. I think.
Democratic.
Right. No. I would again. It's my own opinion, and I'm not like nobody spoke to me about this, so I don't even want to pretend like I know. But my speculation would be it would be people for whom death is not a sufficient punishment. So that would be like Hamas terrorists, Nazis, the pogroms in the Ukraine, but the people who are just bad politicians. No, like that's me. I think bad politician is bad, but he's not that, right? So.
I have another question.
Yes.
What if you're a Jewish person and you do, if you're not part of the Sadiqim, let's say, does something good, does Hashem remove his divine protection in this world even then, or that's always there?
There's different levels. There's different levels of Hashgacha Perati. There's also called Hester Panim. There could be a situation where a person turned his back to God, and then his Hashgacha Perati is going to be very low. And yet, if he didn't commit a sin that has karet, he would still go to Olam Haba, right? It might be a painful process to get there. You might go through it because we said there's a 12-month period. We didn't speak about that yet, but as long as you brought that up. So there could be a maximum of 12-month period where the person is not quite making it into Olam Haba because he's not worthy to be in Olam Haba, right? Now he didn't do karet, so his neshama is going to live on. But he's not worthy of Olam Haba, so he's going to go through this that's what's called Gehinom. Gehinom, the valley of Hinnom, it represents a situation where a person didn't lose his Olam Haba, but he didn't merit Olam Haba either. So there's going to be a certain time period, maximum of 12 months, during which he's going to be rehabilitated. And then he would go to Olam Haba after whatever the rehabilitation period is. So I liken this to the following situation. You have a baby that's born prematurely, and the baby cannot survive in this world without an incubator, right? So they put the baby in a particular incubator, I suppose, maybe for oxygen, maybe the lungs aren't strong enough, or maybe to feed the baby. So during this period, it's a suffering for the baby, in the sense that the baby is not getting the warm embrace of its mommy and the warm embrace of its daddy, and all that love and special warm care that comes. And yet it's for the good of the baby, in the sense that, well, the baby can't get the warm embrace of the mommy, because if he did, Bar Minan, he wouldn't be able to breathe, and he would die. Chas v'shalom. So that's kind of what it's like. So it's like I look at the Gehinom as an incubator period, where there has to be some rehabilitation. What happens? I'm assuming they'll make the person confront what he did and come to terms with what he did and regret what he did, and then at that point, once he overcomes his past, he'll be ready to go to the future. But you have to overcome the past. So that's Gehinom. So we have that as well. So I told you like the different types of Gehinom, the regular standing Gehinom, what I just described, and the purgatory for the really wicked people in this world, where there will be the living maggots and the burning fire. What time is it?
9:17.
9:17. Right. Next week we're going to be talking about Gog and Magog. I can tell you now, and by the way, we didn't finish this, and maybe we'll keep this on the side. I want to finish it eventually. Not tonight. We're not going to make it. But I can tell you now that next week we're going to be talking a little about Gog and Magog. And one of the things about Gog and Magog is that Gog is a king. He has a coalition of kings, Nesi Rosh Meshech Betuval. And one of the things he does, he's going to come to the mountains of Israel and invade Israel, and then eventually reach Yerushalayim. So that's Gog and Magog. I just thought it was interesting because lately I'm just following what's happening in Israel, and it's something very unique. And maybe I'll give you a minute of my thoughts about Israel, because never before in the modern history of Israel did Israel make a decision that we want to destroy the enemy completely, and nobody is going to stop us, right? It's always been a situation where, okay, Israel will win the war, and then we go, okay, stop. The world will say, okay, that's enough, you did enough, retreat. And because of that, there's always wars in Israel, right? Because even like during the Intifada, we would have these military operations, we would never destroy the enemy completely. And then a few years later, there'll be another thing, and again we'll go in, we won't destroy the enemies, everybody will come say stop. So let's say in the year 2000, there was a Al-Aqsa Intifada, Israel went in, and then some point in time, I think it was President George Bush back then, stop. The world told Israel stop. They got out, Twin Towers fell, as you recall. Okay, not making that connection, you can make that connection yourselves. And then Israel again had to deal with the same terrorists. This is the first time in Israeli history, the first time that Israel has made a decision, no, we're not going to stop. It's remarkable, it's a sea changer. Now I'm not giving my opinion on that. I agree with the decision, but the decision is not without consequences. There's going to be consequences. But the point is, they're willing, hey, how you doing? They're willing to suffer the consequences, which is remarkable, really remarkable. I mean, this has never happened before, where Israel is basically saying no to the world, no to America, no to the UN Security Council. I don't know where this is going to lead, but I'm saying that so you understand we're in a very unusual situation. Now, Israel yesterday bombed right next to the Iranian embassy in Syria, killing a major Iranian leader, actually the boss of Hezbollah. So that's Nasrallah in Lebanon. His boss was one who was killed with a bunch of other Iranians. Now, Russia has always been in Syria since 2016 because there was a revolution against Assad. Russia came in to prop up the Assad regime. The Assad regime, by the way, is unbelievably cruel, but Israel doesn't care. That's their business. Let them do what they want to do. So there was that. So Russia is in Syria. Now, Russia, Iran, China, they're part of this axis that's developed over the last...
War, right?
The
Northern War.
The Northern War.
Yeah.
Russia, Iran, China, they're part of this
Turkey.
Coalition. Yeah.
Maybe.
And the Russian troops are moving closer and closer to the border with Israel. They're doing it very slowly, and they're not doing it dramatically, but it's a warning to Israel. They're clearly giving Israel a warning. Now, it's always been where Israel said, you want to come into Syria? No problem. Netanyahu made a deal with the Russians. You let us fly our planes over Syria when we need to, and we won't object to you entering Syria. Okay. It's very interesting because if Russia ever decided to really get involved in the war, and Iran is one of Russia's suppliers in its war against Ukraine, they're supplying Iran, not Russia. Iran is supplying Russia, not Russia supplying Iran. Iran is supplying Russia with sophisticated military technology. They have drone production facilities. So I'm just saying the way things are happening. Russian troops coming closer to Hare Israel, the mountains of Israel, right? So, boy, oh boy, we live in interesting times, don't we?
This is Yehezkel.
Yehezkel describes that, yes. Yehezkel describes Gog and Magog, and he says there's going to be a coalition of nations, and they're going to come from the mountains. They're going to enter Hare Israel. So is this it? I don't know.
7 years.
We know. Some say 7 years. Some say no. Yes, but
From now.
I hope. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe. Anyway.
And what about the cow, the red cow? They also
They found right. They found the Parabuma.
A lot of things happen.
A lot of things happening. Okay, so we'll see. Let's say we live in historical time. I'm sorry.
I heard they want to burn the Paraduma and start building the Beit HaMikdash.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but the thing is the government.
Right.
But yeah, there's a lot of people who want to do that. The government right now is not predisposed to do that. But it's a very strange. We're not in just another year in Israel. This is really what's happening in Israel is very unusual. The way things are developing. I'm not making any predictions, brother. I was very careful. I didn't make any predictions. I'm just describing what happened until now. What happens after now, we'll see. All right, next week.